In the beginning of every person, God planted talent, and your job is to grow it into a gift. Is formal education really a necessity? Do you really need to go to school if you want to build a successful career? Many 8 to 10-year-olds are already making inventions and completing degrees in reputable universities. Gifted adults are either having increased mental problems or are breaking boundaries with success where recognized and supported. Africa for a long time is still holed up in education that is based on proven standards. Talent-based learning is the cure and is fast gaining recognition world over. The World Talent Federation, working with affiliates like Africa Federation for Gifted and Talented, Africa Council for Adult Experiential Learning, and Gates Africa Education Group are at the heart of this exciting journey of new learning based on talent, and many are already achieving even locally. Welcome to Talent in Africa with Professor Humphrey Obora.
If you want to know something about creation, there's one thing that is common in all religious books, that in the beginning of every human, God has planted a talent, and the job is to grow that talent into a gift. A talent is a unique, natural, God-given ability which allows you to do things uniquely and different from another person. It can also be endowed, meaning you could have a natural disposition. For example, you could be naturally disposed to be acrobatic, so that you can curl yourself and make yourself and draw yourself into a ball. That makes you unique and different from a person. It is possible that one person could have multiple talents. When you do have multiple talents and working in real world, we say you are gifted. For example, you could have a natural endowment in academics, which is called the intellectual talent. You could equally be having manual dexterity, which is to do with physical strength. You could also be verbal linguistic, meaning you're good with the language and the formation of words. If you use all of them in real world effectively, then we could say you are gifted. In other words, you employ multiple talents to achieve multiple things in real world. So many talents, therefore, make a gift. The World Talent Federation is an old organization doing close to 50 years. It has branches largely divided into continents. The sole purpose of the World Talent Federation is to provide advocacy and to provide support in terms of financial funding, and also to support the nurturing of talent. Our main job at World Talent Federation headquarters in the US is to go to every corner of this world using our affiliates, because a gifted person is a person that you can tell or teach something today, but they see it in 100 years to come. They also see them in 100 different other ways. In other words, this select population of people called gifted people, they form about 15% of the world population. And these people can shape the political, economic, and social fabric of nations.
Professor Humphrey Obora's talent program is learning-based and has so far seen the success of hundreds of children and adults in Kenya. Meet Geoffrey Mwai, now 24 years old and who had zero cognition before joining the Talent and Gifted program. Today, after 4 years, Geoffrey is not only a budding rapper but an IT student in second year.
This young man was born without growth hormones. So Geoffrey Mwai, having got no growth hormones, gave a big dilemma to the parents. You can imagine a child cannot grow, so you've got to do all that you can, go to all hospitals, and they went all the way to the US. They could manage him to grow, but shortly they realized his cognition was very low. In other words, he could not go to a shop and come back on his own. You can imagine that. So he can't learn. So that became a problem to those parents. After we carried out the assessment, I found him to have great usage of the right upper limbic. We call it a limbic. The upper front lobe of the brain was very active. The rest were not very active. Those who know psychology is that we have to excite it to make the neural cells be active in the other areas. I can report to you today that with that support, Godfrey, after 4.5 years with us, can today leave South Sea on his own, take a matatu to Westlands, and back on his own. Today, he works as part of a team in a musical concert. He can be able to work backstage. What is important for me, and this is what I told the parents, is not that Godfrey Mwai gets good grades, good education the way you want it. The most important fact for me was, can he be able to know who he is so that he can live independently, and more importantly, he can be able to fend for himself.
Gates educational system has really helped Mwai, and it is allowing him to move at his own pace, not at the pace of everybody else. And that in itself also allows the talent in him to come out, so that he gets to do what he likes at his own time. So I think I can say that it is a good thing that in this country we are starting to have people who understand that everything and all people cannot be equal. Some move at their own speeds, others move at slower speeds, but at the end of it is that that particular person would be an asset to the family and to the nation as a whole.
Feeling like all the time. I feel all the time I got rattled. And every time got a lot of girls all around the world got to take a dose. I'm feeling like crazy.
Cain Okello is an ordinary teenager. That is until you meet his mother Esther, who almost lost all hope of ever finding something academically positive in her son. But 3 years after joining the Talent and Gifted program, Cain is perhaps the youngest sports analyst in Kenya today.
Cain grew up normally, is actually a normal child. The thing is his learning is different. He does not learn in strict environments where he has to follow strict procedures and timetables, and he does not need that kind of instruction that the teacher gives an instruction for him to follow. He likes to learn in a free environment where he decides when he has to do this, as long as he's guided on what to do. And that is something I picked. It was a challenge at the beginning. In his kindergarten, he was fine. I didn't notice any problem with him. My shock came when I started looking for school for primary school. When I decided to take him to be tested as is normal with normal schools, you have to go get the child tested and accepted in a school. So when I went to a certain school in Karen, I took him there for almost half a day so that they can see whether he can blend with the school environment. And when I went to pick him up at around 4 o'clock, I was really shocked when they told me, we can't accept your child in this school. So I said, what could be the problem?
Cain Okello joined us as a young 8.5-year-old, and from the description of the mother, he was in the School of the Nations. And in that school, this young man appeared very normal, very intelligent, and very active. He knows nearly everything, but when he goes to exams, he loses it all. So the mother didn't understand why that was taking place. So he did a quick assessment, and from the assessment it revealed that the young man suffered a neural twitch. It's called a neural ganglion twitch that shifted most of his signals from left to the right. So it's more right-brained. Now when such a thing occurs, it changes two things in a person. First of all, three things. It changes your instruction style, your product style, and above all, your learning style, particularly for him. And so we had to deal with him. When we found his real talent, we realized that this is a person who would benefit more in open discussions, lesser instructions, and we needed to create independent learning in an open door facility. Then we found again that he had a greater manual dexterity, meaning he's athletic. By the time I was doing the assessment, I thought he was going to be a footballer. As we move along, I'd seen something small in him on his value for his high verbal ability. It did not come out clearly initially that he was going to be something with media. But over time I realized he had a very great affinity with a camera. So I found that he's very good at recording his actions. Today we found out that Ken is doing a lot of good job in sports journalism.
At his age, at 13 years of age, he's written an academic paper. I think how many pages is your paper? 40 pages. Yeah, he's written a 40-page document with clips attached to it and photos and writing about soccer and soccer management in Kenya. It is something that amazed me, and the English is good, the writing is good, the flow is good. So as he was writing this, then the program continued, and so the Georgia State University of Atlanta actually picked up that talent and has accepted him based on credits. So based on that credit, now he's doing a diploma, and he will be getting the first diploma in September this year. And that one actually, he's like 2 years into university at the level at which he is at 13 years of age. And I feel very encouraged that the journey is still going on. And since he's still young, he's 13 years of age, I'm sure he's going to surprise us with more. For instance, since he interacts a lot with the computer nowadays, his skills on computer is amazing. His speed of typing is amazing. And the things he does, even I can't do on the computer at the moment. So that is still another area that we are going to explore. We have not yet started going that direction, but we are going to explore that as well.
It is possible to be gifted and not even know it, as is the case of George Njenga, whose love for art has since turned into a business. George is a celebrated designer, having recognized his gift from Professor Obora's Gift and Talent program.
And this is a typical young man, normal, in Nairobi. Because of what we do in education, he had a problem. George loves partying. He was born a guy who was outdoor. I did an assessment and I found it very unique and different. In fact, such children would never exist in our normal schooling.
My name is George Njenga. I'm 21 years old. I joined this institution about 3 years ago when I was doing A-levels previously, and I was going through some problems in school. I was a bit of a troublemaker, and so my mom found this school for me, she told me about it, and we came to check it out. And I met the prof, and that's Professor Obora. And there were a series of tests that you have to go through to be enrolled. The first one is the oral test, and then there's a psych test, and then you go through a machine which determines your talent and what subject you should focus on more. After that, the prof told me that it's academically, I need to study business, and I have a talent with art. I like to draw and doodle, and I used to draw a lot of comics, but I never thought much of it until I came here, and I had the reactions from the different students and the teachers and the prof and everything. And so yeah, after the first year, I started getting into fashion. I started attending events. Well, I had been attending events, but now I was attending events and watching what people wear, going to malls, seeing what people wear on the road and everything, young people. And I saw a big lack of African fashion and what young people wear. Okay, so I am studying to get a degree in fashion and design and business management. I'm very happy about this. If you had asked me a few years ago, I wouldn't know where my life would have headed, especially my mom or dad. So now that I've been doing this, they're very happy, and I'm also very happy to be known for something more than trouble. Yeah, so I'd like to thank this institution, Professor Obora, my parents, yeah, and God. Yeah.
Any young person entering any education system without knowing his or her talent is not different from somebody swimming in the ocean without a destination. Any parent intending to take his or her child to any school today without knowing his or her own talent is not very different from a person investing in a business he has no idea about and has no idea about the anticipated results. Any teacher or any government that is pushing any learner through an academic process without knowing that learner's talent is not very different from a doctor that provides an injection to a patient without any medical review.